It's true you're entitled to your opinion, but if you post it online, you might get some unwanted attention from lawyers. A growing number of companies are going after people who post negative reviews online. A student in Ottawa went through what's come to be known as libel chill, and now she's decided to go public with her story. Rosa Marcatelli brings us this week's installment.
A lot of people do it all the time. They write online reviews. And an Ottawa student, Olivia Parsons, is no different. Parsons recently wrote and posted online reviews on Google, Yelp, and another website. And in her case, they were aimed at a company that manages her old apartment. It's a big real estate company that operates in Ontario and Quebec called CLV Group. Well, Parsons was upset because the company wouldn't explain the fees it said she owed after moving out, and the way she says the company handled the issue. Well, when CLV Group saw the online reviews, it tracked the Ottawa student down and sent her a letter from its lawyer. The letter described Parsons' reviews as false and misleading and damaging to the company's reputation, and demanded she delete those online reviews right away. Parsons says she stands by the reviews she wrote, but she says that legal letter was enough to scare her into deleting them.
It was like my interpretation of the events that occurred, and if they looked at my file, they would know immediately that it wasn't a professional or a happy experience. And I think I have the right to share that with people, and I feel like they're trying to bully me into silence.
Now, we also spoke with Tom Keenan. He's a cybersecurity expert in Calgary. He says he's noticing a so-called chilling effect that's impacting reviews in the online world.
I think they need to be a little bit careful in what they say because the online sites are so powerful now.
His advice, well, if you're going to write online reviews, keep good records, bills, emails, phone conversations, document them all. And should those online reviews come back to haunt you, well, you'll have proof that what you wrote actually happened. As for the company at the center of the reviews in this story, well, in a written statement to go public, CLV Group says it takes all comments about the company seriously and that the company has an obligation to correct untrue statements made about them. Rosa Marcatelli, CBC News, Calgary.
Thank you, Rosa. All right, so how can online reviewers protect themselves from lawsuits over bad reviews? Let's talk about this with my next guest. Gil Zvuloni is a lawyer who specializes in internet and defamation law, and Gil joins me here in the studio. How prevalent is this, the idea that companies would write a letter, send it to somebody for writing a negative review online?
I mean, personally, I see it all the time.
Really?
You know, you think about it, people deal with online purchases all the time. You know, you buy things on Amazon or Best Buy or something like that, and you go and you write a review.
Right.
It's very common. Sometimes where a business especially that relies on positive online reviews gets bad reviews, that the business deems it to be unfair, then they may call their lawyer.
Okay, so they call their lawyer. What case do they have, though, really? Well, I mean, it's like you say, you're entitled to your opinion.
So the question is it an opinion or is it a fact? If you're stating something as a fact, then you better be able to prove it. If
like the toilets were dirty or, you know, something like that.
Yeah, if it's a damaging fact that would lower the public's esteem, then that could be defamatory. The question is the line between fact and opinion. That's always a tricky line to draw. You know, you can't say, you know, my opinion is you're a pedophile,
right,
unless you have provable facts to back that up.
Right. So you can't say, let's say, my opinion is your hotel's dirty, unless you have facts to back that up. If saying a hotel is dirty is a little bit tricky because every hotel's dirty to some extent. That is a matter of opinion. So, you know, if a hotel came to me and said somebody wrote that my hotel is dirty, I wouldn't necessarily encourage them to sue. But if they start saying, you know, there were cockroaches in the hotel and I got sick from the food, then that's a different story. And if the person making those statements are lying, they can't prove them, they're false facts, then there's a case there. Gil, is it libel law we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Do they have to prove they're telling the truth?
Yes. Yes. The onus is on the defendant to prove the truth of the fact.
Okay.
Which is problematic because to get to court and to prove a fact can be very, very costly. So in this woman's case, she probably believes that what she said was true. But it's much cheaper for her to remove that posting than to hire a lawyer and to fight it out in court.
Well, that brings us to a more problematic point. If people are going to back down from, if they get a lawyer's letter, companies often have more money than individuals do, so they back off their opinions because they don't want to be dragged into court into something that they can't afford to do.
True, but the flip side of that is if you send a lawyer's letter to to an individual, a student, let's say, and the student takes it to the CBC, and then this company gets all this bad press.
Right.
On national TV.
So is that what people should do?
Well, you know, that's what some people have done. You know, some people will take that lawyer's letter and post it online and share it on Twitter and everything, and then sometimes the company backs down.
Yeah. What about the time when people have the ability to respond? TripAdvisor, one of the largest, I mean, this is a website that is based on gathering people's opinions. Does this create a problem for them? They say, this is what their livelihood is based on.
Yeah, so according to U.S. law, there's statutory immunity for internet service providers. So even like, you know, like Facebook can't be held liable for a defamatory posting of a user. In Canada, it's a little bit gray. We don't have clear legislation on that issue. So conceivably, it is possible that a website could be held responsible for comments made by a poster.
Oh, okay. So what about enticing them to make those comments? Companies like TripAdvisor, they're the biggest that I can think of at the moment, when that's where they make their cash. They say, okay, we have all these people who've responded and they have all of these articles, but we invite also the companies to respond if it's negative as well. What's your side of the story? Right. Is that a protection?
So enticing someone to make comments, there's nothing illegal about that. Enticing someone to commit defamation, there's something problematic with that. Also, if you're a company and you want to respond on a site like TripAdvisor or something like that, then you may be signing away your rights to a lawsuit, because when you sign in to post a comment to rebut that, you may be absolving TripAdvisor from any legal liability.
I see. So
you may be waiving your rights by clicking I agree. So I would caution companies, if they're going to get online, before they start typing away rebuttals, they should read what they're agreeing to.
Okay, so how do people protect themselves from that lawyer's letter? Not that they should back down just because they have a lawyer's letter, because that would be a whole other kind of injustice, wouldn't it? If people were so intimidated by a lawyer's letter, they didn't think about whether what they were doing was right or wrong. So how do they make sure they're on the right side of the law?
Well, first of all, before you start typing away, realize, that what you type is persistent. And sometimes on some sites, once you submit it, it's gone. You can't even remove it, even if you wanted to. That's number one. Number two, there's no such thing as anonymity on the internet. Even if you hide behind some fake emails and everything, that's a very thin anonymity, and that can usually be pierced. So be aware that, you know, if you're not going to write this with your real name, don't write it anonymously. Okay. And in terms of what you're writing, be fair. Be responsible. In other words, just like a journalist. Take notes. Why are you saying these things? Have someone else proofread it. Limit it to what you can prove. If you can't
take pictures.
Take pictures. So pictures can be played around with sometimes too. But yeah, try to back up your case. Back it up as much as you can, rather than just writing from your gut.
Gosh, do you think that there's going to be a chill now on people making negative comments? And do you think companies will say, you know what, we've got nothing to lose, let's send the lawyer's letter?
There may be a chill, but it's like pumping an air conditioner on a hot summer day outside, okay? Like, there's so much freewheeling on the internet, I think it's hard to say that there's going to be a chill, that people are going to stop thinking about what they're writing.
But all you need is one big case, right? All you need is one big case.
We've had big cases, and there was a case in the Court of Appeal a few years ago where a guy went on a rampage against a mining company online. Just went all over against the directors and everything. There was huge judgment against him, but not many people know about it, and unless you're in the legal community, and you know, people still go and post. I think people feel that, you know, as long as what I say is opinion, I can say it. If it's online, it's freewheeling. The rules are a little more relaxed. I think that's a problem. People need to wake up and understand what you write online has real-world consequences.
Can you protect yourself by saying, this is my opinion?
No. It's just like saying, this is my opinion that you're a murderer. No, You know.
I didn't like this hotel. It promised one thing when it gave me another, or you know, whatever.
So each case is a little bit different.
Yeah.
The idea is if you're going to make state something as fact, like they offered me one thing versus another, you need to be able to prove that fact.
All right. It's more difficult to post online now. Both has a negative and a positive side. Gil, thanks very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Internet and defamation lawyer Gil Zvuloni joining me in studio.